My name is Riley. I never imagined that my life would be measured in dough and ovens, but for most of my 20s, that's exactly what it was. Every morning before the sun rose, I was already in the bakery, kneading, rolling, and shaping, not just bread, but the future of my family. They called it Riley's magic touch, but it wasn't magic. It was grit, sweat, and long hours. While my friends were out living their lives, chasing vacations, relationships, weekends that stretched lazily, I was behind the counter. 14-hour days were normal for me, side by side with Dad, learning the tricks of the trade and fixing what broke down. I gave up parties, dates, even birthdays sometimes, because there was always one more loaf to bake, one more customer to serve. The bakery was never just a business to me. It was the heart of my family, our story baked into every crust, every sprinkle of sugar on a muffin. I wanted to see it grow, to see it thrive, not just for me, but for Mom and Dad who had started it all with a small shop and big dreams. Megan? She was different. She treated the bakery like a side hobby, a place to drop by when it was convenient. She didn't understand the late nights or the sacrifices. She didn't know what it meant to carry the weight of those ovens when they burned your hands and your spirit sometimes. But I believed, even when it felt like no one else did. I believed because I loved it. Because I wanted to build something, lasting, something real. Looking back, I wonder if that was my mistake. To give everything and expect nothing less than the same from the people I called family. But how was I supposed to know that my love for the bakery wasn't enough? That my magic touch wasn't the glue holding us together? I just thought I was home. Birthdays are supposed to be special. Quiet moments of joy, maybe a cake with candles, laughter filling the room. But mine, the day I turned 31, was anything but. I woke that morning feeling tired but hopeful, the way you do when you're trying to convince yourself that maybe, just maybe, this year would be different. I wandered into the kitchen, looking for a cup of coffee, when my eyes caught something on the table. Legal documents. Important, official-looking papers that didn't belong to me. I froze, heart hammering. The words jumped out like a punch, in the gut. Ownership transferred. Megan's name, big and clear, where mine should have been. The business I'd built from the ground up, passed over like I was invisible. I stared at that paper, disbelief washing over me in waves. How could this be real? How could they do this, behind my back without a word? The betrayal was so sharp, it felt like the air had been ripped from my lungs. My hands shook as I flipped through the pages, trying to make sense of it all. The bakery wasn't just a building, not just a business license. It was my life. Every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every piece of me was in those ovens and storefronts. And now, it was hers. Megan, who barely showed up, who treated it like a hobby, like it was something to dabble in when it suited her. That day, the room spun around me. I wanted to scream, to cry, to disappear. But mostly, I wanted to understand. Why? Why me? Why did they think I didn't care? I sat down hard, the papers slipping from my hands. The betrayal wasn't just about the bakery. It was about my family, the people who were supposed to love and support me. That birthday, everything I thought I knew came crashing down. I realized that sometimes the people closest to you can hurt you the most. And that's when the real fight began. I didn't want to believe what I'd seen. I tried to tell myself maybe it was a mistake, a mix-up that would get fixed once I talked to Mom and Dad. But deep down, I knew the truth was uglier. That evening, I sat at the kitchen table where the papers had been, the silence pressing down on me like a weight. When Mom came in, I held the documents in my hands, voice trembling but steady. "Why?" I asked. Why did you transfer the bakery to Megan? She looked at me, eyes tired but unreadable. Then, like it was the simplest thing in the world, she said, "We thought you didn't care about the ownership." I blinked, confusion crashing into shock. What? No. I gave everything to this bakery. Every hour, every sacrifice. How could... You think I don't care? Her face didn't soften. No apology, no explanation. Just a cold, distant shrug. It was like a slap across my face. Like the person I'd been, who'd built this business from scratch. Didn't matter at all. I looked to Dad, hoping for something. Any sign of support or understanding. But he just looked away. I couldn't breathe. My heart shattered into pieces I wasn't sure could ever be put back together. "How could you do this to me?" I whispered. Mom's answer was silence. That night, I lay in my childhood bed, the words ringing in my ears. The people who were supposed to have my back had turned their faces away. I felt more alone than I ever had before. The betrayal wasn't just about the business. It was about love withheld, trust broken, and dreams stolen. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But mostly I wanted to disappear. Because when the people you love dismiss, you like that. It feels like the ground beneath you crumbles. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the pain, a tiny ember of something else flickered. A quiet, stubborn refusal to be broken. I was hurt. I was lost. But I wasn't done yet. I didn't sleep that night. The silence in my childhood room was deafening, filled with memories of laughter, arguments, and dreams I once believed in. But now, it was just cold and empty. By dawn, I made a decision. I couldn't stay there, not with the betrayal burning like an open wound in my chest. I packed a small bag, trying to keep my hands from shaking as I folded the few things I could carry. Every step felt heavier, like I was walking away, not just from a house, but from everything I thought was safe. I passed by the bakery on my way out, the storefront bathed in the soft morning light. I paused, fingers brushing the faded sign that used to bear my name, a name now erased, like I never existed there at all. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I swallowed them down. I couldn't let the pain swallow me whole. I walked away without looking back, the weight of years of sacrifice pressing on my shoulders. I was leaving more than a home. I was leaving a family fractured by silence and cold truths. The streets were empty as I wandered, trying to breathe, to make sense of what had happened. I felt lost, not just in the world, but inside myself. Who was I if not the woman who built that bakery? If not the daughter who gave everything? But in that quiet, broken moment, something else began to stir, a fierce, stubborn hope. Maybe leaving was the first step toward reclaiming not just the business, but my life. I didn't know where I was going, only that I couldn't stay. I had been crushed, discarded, and overlooked. But I was still here, still standing. And maybe that was enough to begin again. No one knew, not even Megan, not even my parents. But I had something they didn't, the original business license, the one issued years ago, in my name alone, when the bakery was just a small dream on a shaky foundation. I'd kept it hidden away, tucked safely in an old file box. At the time, it felt like a piece of paper, just a formality. But now it was my lifeline. After the shock and the silence, when the dust of betrayal settled, I pulled out that license again. I stared at it, the faded ink like a whisper from the past reminding me I was the owner, not in their eyes, but on paper. Legally, irrefutably. That license became my secret hope. The quiet strength I clung to when everything else was falling apart. it wasn't just a piece of paper. It was proof. Proof that the years of sacrifice, the long nights, the endless work, were mine. Mine to fight for. Mine to reclaim. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Legal battles, family drama, heartache, all waiting for me. But that license was a reminder that I wasn't powerless. I was a fighter, and I wasn't done yet. With the weight of that document in my hands, I felt a spark of something I hadn't dared feel in a long time. Hope. Maybe this wasn't the end of the story. Maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something new. Filing the lawsuit felt like stepping into a storm I wasn't sure I could weather. It wasn't just about papers and courtrooms. It was about standing up to my own family, facing the people who were supposed to love me. The days blurred into endless meetings with lawyers, piles of documents, and late-night phone calls. I wasn't just fighting for ownership. I was fighting for my dignity, my worth, the years I had poured into something they tried to erase. Megan barely showed up. When she did, it was with that careless smile, like this was some game she could walk away from. But for me, it was everything. Every sleepless night, every cracked hand, every moment I'd sacrificed to build this bakery was on the line. People whispered. Friends took sides. Some thought I was crazy for dragging family business into court. But I couldn't stay silent. I couldn't let this betrayal stand. The courtroom was intimidating, sterile and cold, nothing like the warmth of the bakery where I'd poured my heart out. I sat there, clutching that original license, feeling the weight of every hard day I'd ever worked. And yet, through the tension, a quiet resilience grew. I wasn't just fighting for a building or a name on a sign. I was fighting for the truth, that I mattered, that my efforts meant something. The battle was raw and painful, but with every passing day I felt myself getting stronger. I was no longer the daughter they ignored. I was a woman claiming her rightful place. And I wasn't backing down. The courtroom was quiet, the air thick with tension. I sat there, heart pounding, clutching that worn piece of paper, my original business license, like a lifeline. Months of fighting, of feeling, like I was swimming against a relentless tide, had led to this moment. When the judge spoke, his words were deliberate, measured. He acknowledged the years I'd poured into the bakery, the sacrifices I'd made, and the legal truth that the business belonged to me. Megan's name was stripped from the ownership, and from every signboard, every corner of the bakery that had once carried her name. Relief washed over me, but it was mingled with something deeper, a quiet sorrow. The victory wasn't just legal, it was personal. It was a reckoning with a family fractured by betrayal and misunderstanding. I thought of the long nights, the early mornings, the endless work. I thought of the love I'd given and the cold dismissal I'd faced. This win was for every time I'd felt invisible, for every moment I'd doubted myself. But standing there, hearing the judgment, I felt something new. Validation. I mattered. My work mattered. Megan left the courtroom without a word. The silence between us was louder than any argument. As I stepped out into the light, the weight on my shoulders began to lift. This was no longer just about ownership. It was about reclaiming my identity, my place in the world. The battle was over, but the healing was just beginning. And for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to hope. The victory in court felt like a door opening, but it wasn't the end of the journey. It was the start of something new, something I had to build on my own terms. I knew I couldn't go back to the old name, the old bakery. It was too tied up in the past, the betrayals, the pain, the broken promises. So, I started fresh. New. Brand, new sign, new story, a bakery that carried my vision and my heart. Rebuilding wasn't easy. It meant late nights and long days again, learning new ways to reach customers and creating a space that felt like me. There were moments I doubted if I could pull it off. If the bakery I dreamed of could ever match the inn, I'd lost. But every loaf I baked, every smile from a customer, every encouraging word from a stranger reminded me why I fought so hard. This bakery was no longer just a business. It was my statement. My resilience baked into every crumb. I painted new walls, picked fresh colors, and named the bakery something that felt like home. It wasn't just about bread anymore. It was about reclaiming my story. And slowly, the community came back. Friends I hadn't seen in years stopped by. New faces appeared, curious and eager. The bakery was alive again, vibrant, warm, and mine. It wasn't just a fresh start. It was a declaration. I was here. I was strong. And I wasn't going anywhere. The day of the grand reopening arrived like a burst of sunlight after a long, stormy night. I stood outside the bakery, heart pounding in my chest, watching the new sign sway gently in the breeze. It wasn't just a name on a board. It was a symbol of every battle fought and won, every tear shed, every moment I almost gave up, but didn't. People started to arrive, some familiar faces from the neighborhood, others new customers drawn by the buzz. The line stretched down the block, longer than anything I'd seen in years, even back when the bakery was ours. As I handed out pastries and coffee, smiles and warm words filled the air. Some told me they'd missed this place, missed what it stood for. Others said they believed in what I was doing now, building something honest, something real. It wasn't just about sales or numbers. It was validation, proof that hard work and resilience could heal even the deepest wounds. I caught a glimpse of Megan in the crowd, watching from a distance, but I didn't look her way. This moment wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. Standing there, surrounded by the smell of fresh bread and the hum of happy voices, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. The bakery was more than a business. It was a testament to pain turned into power, loss transformed into hope. And for the first time since that terrible birthday, I allowed myself to believe in a future that was mine, built not on broken promises, but on my own strength. The bakery buzzed softly around me, a warm hum of life and promise. But in the quiet moments, when the ovens cooled and the last customer left, I found space to breathe and to think. I often wondered how I got here. From that shattered birthday, that cold betrayal, to this place where I stood tall, rebuilding what was mine. It wasn't easy. The scars ran deep, and some days, the pain still whispered in the corners of my mind. But I learned that healing isn't a straight path. It's messy, slow, and sometimes it feels like you're walking backwards just to move forward. I forgave, not because I forgot, but because I needed peace more than I needed resentment. And most of all, I found strength in my own quiet resilience, the kind that doesn't roar but holds steady through the storm. The bakery is no longer just a place of work. It's a symbol of who I am, someone who was broken but chose to rebuild, who was silenced but found her voice, who was lost but found herself again. I still love that old shop in the town I grew up in, but now I love this new beginning even more. I am more than the daughter who gave up vacations, or the woman betrayed by her own family. I am Riley Montgomery, a fighter, a creator, and finally, free. And as I lock up for the night, the soft glow of the bakery lights fading behind me, I know this is only the start of a new chapter, one I'll write on my own terms,